I think I'm going to learn how to do this again. Okay. Uh, Today, I'm actually going to share with you, as archaeologists and plant physiology, I'm always fascinated about the ghost orchid. And, you know, and this is what they are right now.
Actually, I have one request.
Yes.
When we're done, you just came back from Taiwan. Can you tell us a little bit about, after you tell us about the ghost orchid, can you tell us a little bit about Taiwan or maybe something you've seen there, new trends that may be coming to
Yeah, well,
orchids?
actually, glad you mentioned it, Jeff. Remember, Jeff Young is the president of the Fair Fanatic, and I'm actually thinking about Jeff. You have a membership benefit, a podcast in the future.
Yes, it's
So
coming out in
actually,
a week or two.
I was thinking about, okay, so many of you have seen me post on my personal page, and I have a tremendous, it's kind of nice to visit the Taiwan for almost 3 years, and I got to, I was there, invited, and they paid my way over there, and put me in a hotel for 3 4 days, and for a symposium, and then I got able to visit a couple of the big show, and one of them is the trade show, and agriculture in Asia or something. So it's a tremendous show, and I learned a lot. And the new trend now is less chemical on everything. In Asia now is trying to reduce carbon dioxide emissions. So uh, I'm actually putting up a program for my trip to Taiwan, because how to visualize what I have the last 2 weeks in Taiwan. So Jeff is going to announce, and will be, if you're a member of the Fail Fanatic, uh, we're going to have a nice member benefit. I will show you my trip, and it's kind of fascinating, and because that's kind of built it up. 2024, the World Orchid Show is going to be in Tainan, Taiwan. That's where Jamie, and that's my birth city. So it's fascinating. So you think about, if you guys are thinking about maybe visit the World Orchid Conference in 2024 in Taiwan, this is kind of be a teaser for you to what to expect, and it'll be a fascinating show. So if you are a member of Fair Fanatic, uh, look out for Jeff Young's announcement. If you're not already, you might want to sign up. Uh, we also have a big symposium coming out next July at the Huntington. So the trend now is less trying to reduce chemical use in Asia. A lot of research is doing that, and so we all have to do our part to do try. If I, in fact, I talked to my pesticide applicator yesterday, and the amount of the fertilizer, the raw material for fertilizer for the farmer, uh, the pesticide and fungicide that we're going to be using the next 2 3 years can be it's going to be almost double, because a lot of the ingredient is actually imported, and because of the war in Russia, I was surprised that a lot of phosphate actually imported from Russia. So that's what's going on. So members, that actually parallel with what I always been preaching in this podcast. Uh, Less is more, uh, especially when you go in our orchid. So you're gonna say, where is the orchid? Well, the topic for this one here today is actually the ghost orchid, and the ghost orchid, Donna Richard, I don't think you're going to see any. This is one of the biggest of the Lindenii. And I've been trying, I've always been fascinated on this type of orchid. Uh, Many of you have seen the movie called The Orchid Thief. Yeah, the Orchid Thief kind of took place using this ghost orchid, which is native to Florida at the Everglades. You can find this species actually also in Cuba. And the last time I seen this in flower in person, actually, it was at the Dominican Republic. I was there about 8 years ago, and you read the literature. It's all the from Cuba and the swamp at the Everglades, but they actually also at the DR, and they're just everywhere. But I always, if you, depend on who we talk to, a lot of people think that the ghost orchid, the Lindenii, in this Florida Everglades swamp is actually maybe carried from the pollen or the sea, microscopic sea, from by the hurricane all the way to Florida. So, but they actually at DR too, Dominican Republic. So, as a plant physiology, I'm one of my favorite subjects in college, always plant physiology. So, what is a ghost orchid? Okay, most of the ghost orchid, 365 days a year. This is what you're gonna get, and they're not dead. Okay, as long as they're green, I just water them. As long as they are green, okay. Jeff, can you focus on this one here? When they dry, you're gonna have more silverish white on the root tip here. And once they are green, like this, once you water them, and you can water them actually 2-3 times a day, or mix them several times a day.
Can you show us the silver versus the green again? Now that we're really zoomed in on
Here,
it.
this is the dry root. You see the silver whitish? Okay, this one did not get water. So every time you water them or mix them, make sure you want to hit every single root here. To make it simplify, this is actually the root, the leaf of this type of orchid, and believe it or not, they actually lump into dendaceous alliances over there. And the trick, and I have been doing this, I think the first person actually propagate this is the guy in Illinois, and it's very difficult to get it out of flask because most of the time when they were usually just really tiny, even maybe less than a size of a quarter in size. So what I personally been involved with this project is this is the generation. This is not jungle collected. By all means, this is not collected from the Everglades. These are all raised from seed. These are actually germinated artificially in tissue culture in the flask, sterile flask. And the behind this is they were squeezed the pollen from DR, Dominican Republic, and also from pollen from Cuba. So the pollen was collected and then was pollinated with strain originally from, I think the company is not in business anymore, in Illinois. Anyway, it was believed to originate from Florida Everglades. So you got 3 different type of species of the strain of the Lindenii. So it's not a lot of this, the selfing of the one from Florida, from the Everglades. Okay, so Brandon Tan was here yesterday, and I gave him 2 plants of this for the Huntington. And he said, yeah, he was surprised to see how big these are. And this is actually about 4 years old, 4 years old already. Okay, and I have a very, very good success with this. Okay. And I think I've raised must be about at least 50 of them out of flask. And the trick for me personally is, since I'm kind of know about tissue culture, the trick is I let them grow extra 1 year in the tissue culture lab, glass jar. So if you buy, this is not for beginner, okay? So if you want to buy this, never buy the tiny eyelash size. You know, sometimes some people might offer this in the eBay, but these are just right out of flask. In fact, the trick for them, for me anyway, is to grow them, and we also work with a lab, optimize the tissue culture media, because lots of times the media people use in the regular lab, they just one media under the sun, and that's for example they've been using for vendation media and carrier media for tissue culture, just too much salt. Remember, this type of orchid do not like tap water. They're very picky about water quality. So when you want to spread this, I had tap water here, so I had to buy distilled water, or you can do reverse osmosis water on them. So a lot of the tissue culture media, most people are selling, or if you've got a flask, most of them are really tiny little one. Okay, so what I did is I worked with a lab, and we formulated a more refined, very soft, and not as high salt or media for them. So we got an extra 1 year in tissue culture in the flask. The nice thing about the flask, inside the flask, just like this giant jar here, is 100% humidity. Okay, and you go under light. I can regulate the light that just using Jeff light, minimum 16 hours a day. And if you like Sunny will tell you that what a wonderful experience he using the bottom heat mat, keep it at 75 degrees at night. It's just a growing part.
So
But
John was just asking, since there's no leaves on this, are they photosynthesizing
Yes.
through the root?
John, that's a very good question. They do have leaf. The evolution of this type is the leaf actually been reduced, and actually, if you look this under the microscope, the leaf is actually almost on the top of the root here. So look at this, and the life. Every time I have this type of orchid never like to be in the pot. They like a lot of air movement. So I have been tried this. I killed it in the bark. I killed it in the moss in the pot, and I also tried to mount it on the cork. They do not like to mount it on the cork. To my surprise, is the plastic. This is the new.
Jamie wants to know if she can have some of those for jumpers.
Yes. I love this. You know why? This is a frost. It looks like mimic stem. What I like about the trouble with mounted on the cork is too dry. They don't hold water. Or I tried it pine bark, pine cork. Okay, that's fine. But then you start getting fungi, bacteria on any organic. So I can do this and put in the water. Yes, the plant will be happy, the root will be happy, and I'm not going to worry about the bark, the wood.
Because it won't absorb anything, right?
It doesn't absorb it. It dry up right away. And then, you see here? And then if you live in Florida, okay, Donna, in Florida, you have summertime, you don't worry about this. This wood is UV treated. So that means they will not decompose or break under the sun as fast as the regular non-UV treated one. So, and also because it's black color, they absorb a lot of the light and also the heat, especially right now in the wintertime. So in the summertime, it's perfect. And I find it very in the house. This is a perfect for underlight. They flower usually in the summertime, July, and they will usually start flowering in the crown of this. So what I usually do is I put two plants in here. I should put 2 or 3 plants. And this is the size. You can order this online now. There's less than 18 plants that we're going to release.
Those things are really cool. I mean, those things are really cool.
Well, I started with, this is the first trial. I started with 100 plants, and now with 18. But this is how I learn, and this. Water quality, okay. Do not use tap water. I'm gonna make it simplified, okay. I'm not gonna give you a big pitch about 30 minutes about how to grow this. Okay, let me tell you how you kill this. tap water. If you live in Orange County, California, your water EC is really high. The easiest way to kill them is the tap water because tap water has chlorine in there. Okay, this type of orchid, in their native habitat, they had rainwater in Everglades. So especially for this type of orchid, the evolution, the leaf and the root is all become so sophisticated. They're very intolerant of chlorine in the water. So make sure you get at least distilled water or reverse osmosis water. And secondly, do not put growing in the pot. I don't care if it's fir bark, cork, bamboo, charcoal. No, they like to be mounted. And the best material I have found is this UV treated cork.
Yeah, I like
plastic.
that.
And they
It doesn't
also have a
decompose.
hole. And this is actually we're gonna start marketing that. See, I don't have to sell something that I don't believe in it or trust it, use it. And it's very thick. It's very ornamental. It got a hole in the back.
But you've had that for at least over a year and a half.
Yeah, I never sell it.
Sitting out, I know, but you've had it for a year and a half or so.
I've
Sitting
been
here on
I've
the
been
floor.
tested. We also
Yeah.
using Phalaenopsis
And
Lindenii.
it's worked well. It
Think
doesn't
about
fall
some
apart.
of the think about some of the miniature orchid that you have. Phalaenopsis celopenensis, the variegated. You can mount it Lindenii with a variegated leaf against the black background, and from the distance it looks like a tree trunk, or could be a charcoal trunk.
Yeah.
And also have a hole here. Okay, and the best part, no matter how often I spray, I'm not gonna worry about the mold is gonna go on the wood or anything. And because it's black color and UV treated, you don't get algae on them. You will not worry about the algae on them. Okay, so what about feeding them? Okay, the feeding, you can, when you do, and by the way, they love Mega Dry solution. Okay, and when you do your Mega Dry solution twice a month, also make out a bucket of this. You can soak the Mega Dry solution. You can a bath for them, and since this is a plastic, you can let it soak for 10 minutes or so. And the idea is really let them do the Mega Dry bath, what I call a Mega Dry bath, because that way the whole root with the front and back is going to really absorb through the root area. Okay. Now, many of you have grown in I think Crystal had this IKEA cabin. Those are very nice. They're very humid. Good. Those are very good for them. Or if you have a terrarium, okay. Terrarium usually are just really high humidity and warm. This is the perfect orchid for it. So you can actually hang them. Don't worry, we only released, I think this on the website now. There are only 18 of them. We will have more for next year.
What about light? Medium, high?
They actually take low to medium light.
Low
They
to
do
medium,
not
okay.
like Cavalier light. So you can actually, if you go under light, growing in the same area as the Phalaenopsis will be perfect.
What longer days? They want longer days?
Longer day only when they are baby plant.
Okay.
Yeah. Once they get to this size, okay, this is when I start condition them. This is the time. Look at the root. We start to make sure that they get enough water, not only water, then also the normal orchid food, because this is the time they start building up the nutrient, and also especially make us thrive, because right now we have a cooler day and night temperature, which is okay for them, because they do not die. Even in the Florida Everglades, this time of year the weather will be cooler than versus the summertime. So they in the plant physiologically are going to have more female hormone cytokinase and more oxygen reduced. So this is a critical time. Make sure this is I always minimum. I give it a bath of Mega Dry and then a solution, and then
Can you
let it
also do
soak.
that with the Norman's optimal
Yeah,
orchid
you can
nutrients?
also yeah.
Separate
For
from
for this type
Mega
of orchid, any leafless orchid, and that's including the some of the leafless orchid from Thailand. They're very similar. Any of the leafless orchid, but those are spring bloomer. For Lindenii, these are summer bloomer. These are so right now is the time to really pay attention to them right now because they do not like to have night temperature below 65. So definitely do not no outside. Perfect for inside. You can find any of the grass greenhouse, uh, any of grass house, but some of this you can open this or the terrarium jar. Okay, you can put some rock in there. You can open this up for them. So feeding and make sure for misting the orchid on them. Even for your regular orchid, if you want to mix orchid on the leaf on the Phalaenopsis, get a jar of the distilled water. Okay, that way you don't have the salt problem, and they will not have the chlorine. See, the chlorine in the tap water is the #1 killer for this type of orchid, especially the Ghost Orchid Lindenii. The leaf structure is not. I think the chlorine is just melt their root system and damage the chlorophyll on this reduced leaf. Okay. Any more question? Okay. So many of you have grown the different type of leafless orchid from Thailand. It's actually very similar. Okay. The only thing is, I think you're gonna see more of this type available through various people, and I'm here to share this. I think we all need to share. Do not, please, do not buy anything that people offer you. They do not go to the evergreen swamp trying to collect this, because once they get out of the leaf from the natural habitat, it's very hard for them to recover because they're all used to the swamp condition. But interesting enough is just that a lot of other orchid, like Phalaenopsis, for example, when we go to propagate artificially, okay, then we go in the greenhouse condition, so and then they start used to the reduced temperature, not as hot as in the Florida swamp, the evergreen. We also go and reduce. Actually, a lot of time, our temperature only this are actually growing about maybe 60% only humidity in the summertime. All right. So I know they can tolerate lower. So a lot of time, what you read, at least I read a lot of information for reference only, but you don't have to duplicate that. But I think a lot of time, the plant itself will adjust to the temperature and the environment. So this will gonna be breed again. So now we have a selection of easier to grow, not like the one from the evergreen. I think if you've been to Florida in the middle of summer, August, it's like 80% humidity, warm day and warm night and high humidity.
Robert is on, and he says he's seen them growing wild in the Everglades.
Yeah. Robert who?
Williams.
Oh, hi. So I'm very excited about this project. So that's why I thought, oh, let's do something different for this one, because I do plan to grow more of this type, and I think there's also a hybrid of Lindenii coming up in the future. So this is very exciting. I know people always say, "What's new? What's new?" But you notice that they dry out really fast.
Except for the ones in the terrarium. Look at the difference.
You notice that they turn white now in less than 10 minutes. When they're wet, then they're like this. They're solid green, right? When they're drying up, they turn silver white. And that's okay. But if you keep it in a terrarium, they still stay green. And I can even feel the temperature. inside this terrarium, it's about 10 degrees warmer than out here. Inside the terrarium is still wet. Okay, so if you put it in a glass jar or a little greenhouse, you don't have to mix them as much like out here. I'm going to put some of the rock below it, and this is actually one of the jar I'm going to try to build a little terrarium project next one. Yeah, all right. So, and since they don't have leaf, I found them very, very insect don't bother them because there's nothing to hide if you spray them. We spray them everything as our regular pesticide program, so they seem to okay from the pesticide spray. But if you, we usually tell the pesticide applicator, it may be only one, spray them every, we don't spray them as often as a final analysis, but once they all receive the regular pesticide program, we don't use fungicide here. So here we go. So a lot of time, I think what happened in the past, people just read the magazine or try to duplicate the type of temperature in the evergreen, and might be too much for them. Okay, so and the potting media, maybe they mount it on the wood, and then when you have that kind of high humidity in here, the wood is going to start rotting, or they're going to start have fungi, the mold inside, and that sometimes is bad for the root here. So you see how how quickly they dry out, they absorb it. And
Colby is asking, do they need to be moist all the time?
This time of the year, I only mix them every about. This is just for lecture purpose. After this, we put it in the jar, or I put it in a glass dome. So I only mix them maybe. I inspect them, and I will have for my purpose, I have another jar, and I put a dome, and with grass pebble. And the grass under the grass pebble, there's water there, so there's a microclimate. But if I'm taking this out, like as in a greenhouse situation right now, I would suggest that mix them maybe about 2-3 times a day, especially in the greenhouse right now.
So you don't let them dry out. You don't let them dry out at all.
We don't let them dry out. Yeah, you don't let them dry out. They just they love because they exposed to air. They like to be moist, but they also don't like to be too wet. It makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's hard. Yeah, but
you don't grow them in water, but you don't let them dry out.
No, but I have seen people. You can put a clay pot, for example, another simple clay pot. Put some pea gravel with a saucer that you have shallow water, but put some physin solution, dilute physin, so you don't have algae build up, and you just let them sit there.
I have a feeling those 18 are sold out.
I don't know. I don't know.
From the questions people are asking, I think everybody wants one.
Well,
I think those 18 are sold out.
Well, this is very generous side. Each one have at least 2 plants in there, so it's easy to start with this plant, this big. This is 4 years old.
Did you tell them the story?
I did.
A few years ago, I came home. I said, Norman, we really need to clean up the nursery because these are dead. There's no.
Yeah. This is
There's
business
no
majors
leaf.
told me it is a dead orchid.
When they first started this thing, I came home and said, we really need to clean this up. This has got to be tossed. And then a month
said,
or two
"Do
later,
not."
is this the brown one?
No, this is the
Color
ghost
was-
orchid. Hello,
I know the flower.
white.
White. Ooh.
This is the Florida. This is not the Asian type.
National Geographic cover, right?
This is the one that got National Geographic, the famous ghost orchid, the one that inspired the movie called Orchid Thief.
Oh, yeah.
And fragrant, by the way, it's fragrant during the day. Okay, so for this is something for I think if you're in the tropic area, and
it's
if I can
propagated
even
by
grow,
a moth
if I
that has a tongue like about a foot long, right?
not this one.
Oh,
This
not
is
this-
about
okay.
when they flower, they can have up to 10 flowers per spray coming up.
Oh, okay.
And it looks like the little anyway, so very excited about this. Some of this, sometimes we put up to, see, I do multiple plant here, 2 or 3 plant, and like this one here, all 3 survive. Okay. It's fascinating on this. So I think I learned.
But if they get one, they should have a terrarium already set up. They need to have these supplies
Well,
before they get them.
well,
Otherwise, they're going to have to spray them like 3 times a day.
Yeah. Well, if you live in Florida, they just put it outside in the summertime. You wait it. You just so they like high humidity but not saturated weight. So I think this. I'm gonna share some of this with Jamie, so she can show it on the jumper tomorrow, and later on we're gonna put it on the website for next year. Okay? But I love this. It's proven. It's really good quality.
It's like PVC, right? It's kind of like a PVC. But
yeah, but you
color.
also you want to take a closer look. But it also UV treated. It's UV treated, so they're not going
degrade.
Yeah, so I like this one. It look very ornamental. So you can use one. You can cut it in half. This one here, this one is cute. This one is try to resemble of the trunk of the tree, and they have a hole here. You can put
Hanger
in there.
Fish line.
Direct sunlight or indirect?
Or indirect sunlight. It's about the foot candle is about 800 minimum, up to about 1500. So like I say, think about the light quality is just like Phalaenopsis. Yeah, but there's always exception. If you live in Florida, you have higher humidity, really high humidity. You probably can get it more light.
Okay, Donna, let's see you grow some of these.
Oh, I know Donna can be the first one to flower.
Really
well, these are all ready. These are all ready to go.
All right, so there's only 18. I think these are probably sold by the time the podcast's over. I'm going to guess.
Yeah,
so
but don't, if you miss it, don't worry next year. Yeah.
I want to see who the first one is to bloom it.
Yes.
There's no prize or anything other than just bragging rights. So we got Donna, Sonny, Yates wants one. I think Jennifer's going to get one. Amanda's probably going to get one. There's not going to be probably hardly any left. So if you buy this, I want to see pictures, and the first one that flowers this has bragging rights.
This is not a spot
so
in there.
let's let it. You guys go after it. It's going to be like a feeding frenzy. I want to see who the first one to flower this is going to be. I think Linda's probably even going to get one.
Oh, Linda's her growing environment in summertime is hot, steamy, and warm, perfect for them. And even this in the house right now, golden under light in the wintertime, so you can keep a closer light on the closer picture on them in a small jar, or you can mix them.
Donna says, challenge on.
Challenge
Sonny
on.
says, okay, deal. I think Donna may have a head start, even though that she hasn't received it yet. But I'm going to be interested to see. We're going to have to come up. Someone's going to get bragging rights here.
Yeah. So the difference is, this have the pollen from the DR, Dominican Republic, and then the Cuba, okay, and then the strain from Florida. So that's what make this strain of Lindenii different. And I was sold on this because I thought, wow, my God, I thought I cannot even go into this size. But combination of the Mega Dry, the fertilizer, and this wood, this plastic UV treated wood, black, that absorb heat, and it's just wonderful. You never have a chance for them to build any fungi
This is going to be
on the wood.
This is going to be really interesting.
I think this wood is going to be really good if you go miniature orchid to monk orchid. Okay, so you don't worry about the wood. Cork is so expensive now these days, you know, and this is easy to get and easy to clean. And the way they design it, have a slab resemble of like a tree trunk. It go this way, so the water never build up or collect on the surface. They drain right away. So it is perfect. So this kind of material, this is what I go to Asia, or I always looking for something different than we have here. And I think, and I always I had to try this minimum once a year, minimum a year, and I like it.
So Donna says they're not on the website. Are you putting these on the website, or these are just going to be Jamie's jump? These
Jamie
are just
gonna have some
jumpers.
jumper, yeah.
Okay, so these are.
I'm
just
gonna get
be
more
jumpers.
next year. Okay, but Jamie, you can get some from Jamie jumper tomorrow. Okay. Alrighty. Alrighty. Thank you, and come back next week. I'm gonna talk about the winter pest and disease. I know this might be refined again, but there's something new. I'm going to share with you with something for indoor, because a lot of people put the orchid indoor now. Okay, so there's another different issue that we have for pest and disease in the wintertime. Okay, so I will see you next week. Okay, thank you, and have a good and safe holiday.
Before you cut off,
Yes.
Christy is asking, would this mount be good for Tumaliana?
Yes. Oh,
Tumalinas?
I will have a whole stack. I mounted the Phalaenopsis and the Equiton Oncidium. I will show you next week. Okay?
Cool.
All right. Thank
All right,
you.
see you guys next week.
Bye bye.